So, you want to buy a luxury hotel. Maybe you've got the money. Maybe you've stayed in enough 5-star suites to think, I could run this better. Maybe you just like the idea of a building with your name in gold script over the door. Good. Let's talk about what you're actually buying. Because here's the first thing nobody tells you. The company whose name is on the building almost certainly doesn't own it. Wait, what? That gleaming hotel in your head? Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, Waldorf Astoria. Picture the logo glowing over the entrance. Now ask yourself, who owns the dirt underneath it? The steel? The 1,200 rooms? The marble in the lobby? It's probably not them. Marriott runs around 9,000 hotels in more than 140 countries. It owns less than 1% of them. Not 1% of the rooms. 1% of the buildings, total. Hilton's numbers look almost identical. Over 80% of its branded hotels belong to someone else entirely. Some investor you've never heard of, sweating over a 30-year mortgage, while Hilton's name sits on the awning out front. So if the brands don't own the buildings, who does? And more importantly, why would anyone agree to a deal like that? Let's use a real one. The Waldorf Astoria, Park Avenue, New York. In 2014, a Chinese insurance company almost nobody outside finance had heard of, Anbang, paid $1.95 billion for it. The highest price ever recorded for a single American hotel. Not per room, total. Hilton, which had owned the Waldorf for over 40 years, didn't fight to keep it. They sold it happily, and then signed a deal to keep managing the place for the next 100 years. Sit with that for a second. Hilton handed over a $1 billion trophy building and walked away with a pile of cash and a guaranteed paycheck for a century, while Anbang took on the property taxes, the aging pipes, the staff, and eventually a renovation bill that ballooned past $2 billion. Within 6 years, Anbang was being dismantled by Chinese regulators, and its founder was sitting in prison for fraud. The Waldorf sat fully closed from 2017 until 2025. 8 years, 0 guests, billions spent, while Hilton's management contract just kept quietly ticking along in the background, fees and all. Anbang absorbed the disaster. Hilton barely noticed. And that's the part of this business nobody puts in the brochure. A luxury hotel isn't one business. It's two completely separate businesses wearing the same trench coat. Business number one is real estate. Land, concrete, an HVAC system older than you'd like, a roof that needs replacing every couple of decades whether anyone's paying attention or not. This business bleeds money in recessions, eats capital constantly, and is worth exactly whatever someone is willing to pay for the dirt that day. Business number two is the brand, the reservation system, the loyalty program, the standards manual dictating precisely which thread count goes on the pillows. This business owns almost no physical property and is worth a fortune. Marriott alone is valued in the tens of billions. Guess which one has the stronger balance sheet and which one is refinancing a loan every 5 years, hoping the market hasn't turned. Now here's the part that should really bother you. Hotel brands mostly get paid as a cut of revenue, not profit. Typically 4 to 6% of room revenue just for the right to fly their flag, on top of a separate management fee. Marriott's co-branded credit cards alone bring in over $700 million a year, money that has nothing to do with whether any individual hotel is actually profitable, which means the brand gets paid whether you, the owner, make a dime or not. Rooms sit empty in a downturn. They still collect their cut of whatever revenue does come in. Roof needs replacing? Not their problem. That's capital expenditure, and capital expenditure belongs to the owner, written into the contract, in fine print you'll read 3 times and still find unsettling. The brand's incentive is to put its name on as many buildings as possible, as fast as possible, because fees scale with footprint, not with your bottom line. Your incentive, if you actually buy one, is the opposite. You need this one specific building, in this one specific economy, to turn a real profit. In an industry where a single renovation can run hundreds of millions, and one bad recession can erase a decade of returns. That asymmetry isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. So, should you actually buy a luxury hotel? Here's the honest answer. You're not buying a hotel. You're buying a 50 to 100-year real estate bet with a mandatory, expensive corporate partner you basically can't fire, who gets paid first, who dictates your soap brand and your renovation schedule, and who carries almost none of your downside. That isn't necessarily a bad trade. Owners who bought the right trophy property at the right basis and held on for decades have made real fortunes as the land underneath quietly appreciated, Even in years when the hotel itself barely broke even, the real estate can win even when the hotel business, strictly speaking, doesn't. But if you pictured yourself running a glamorous 5-star property, choosing the decor, greeting guests in the lobby, deciding what goes on the menu, that was never on the table. You bought the building. Someone else runs your hotel. You just get to pay for the privilege. So, you want to buy a luxury hotel? Fine. Sign the papers. Get your name on the deed. Just don't expect your name anywhere else. That part belongs to someone who never has to own a single brick.